Hey, guys, this episode is brought to you by TeePublic. You guys know TeePublic. I've been with TeePublic forever, since the Schmodown days, since the big thing launched. If you have a Sith Council shirt, if you have any of our shirts, you got them from TeePublic. From over the years, we've been working with TeePublic. When I went out on my own, they were one of the first calls that I made. So not only can you get all of the branded merch from this show, t-shirts, stickers, phone cases, mugs, all that, when you are on the site, do a search. You're going to discover something that you like, especially in this space, man. An artist uploads new work to the TeePublic marketplace every 5 seconds. Because of the thousands of global artists that populate the marketplace, you're going to find designs you won't find at a big box store, especially if your interests are super niche. Doesn't matter what you're into, you can find it on TeePublic. You want a graphic tee of a cat riding a unicorn? Check. A t-shirt with your favorite movie quote? Got it. You want merch for the big thing? Hey, that's what you want, obviously. I've been using TeePublic forever. If you guys know me from back in the day, I've been talking about them that long. So it was obvious that I was going to be using them again, and I'm so glad that I did. So many of you guys, when I see you at some of the events, you're wearing the big thing shirts, and it all comes from TeePublic. And browse around on my link. It's going to be in the iCard right there. It's going to be in the description right there. Browse around. You will find stuff that you like. So I'm happy that they're on the show. They're sponsoring the show now. TeePublic, everybody. Check them out. What's going on, everybody? A little bit of a later episode. My apologies. Had a bunch of things going on today, but nonetheless, getting out an episode today. And I had to lead with it. I had to talk about it. I've been worried about it. Thought it was coming. Dune 2 officially pushed back until 2024 March. The strike obviously is the cause of it. We know this. We knew it was coming, and it's, to me, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. It's funny because, well, it's not funny. It's ironic because when I did the most anticipated list, I had forgotten to put Dune on the list for 2023. And it was my number 2. And so if you go back and look at that list, it's not in there. Unfortunately, I think I was predicting the future. It'll be one of my most anticipated 2024. So that stinks, and we'll talk about that, and we'll get into it in general. But then there's also a lot of questions from you guys. That's what today is. Normally we do the capes and cowls, so I said, I'm just kind of me on my lonesome here today. So fire out the questions. Let's see what we can conjure up, what the great audience can do. And you guys sent in some great ones. Majority in the comic book movie realm, but there's a few outside of it, and we'll get into those as well. So if you are brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, do me a favor. We're almost at 90,000. We're approaching 100,000. We just need your guys' help. So if you're brand new to the channel, hit that button. Help us out. Join us. We do out of the theater reactions, full long-form podcasts, short-form videos, all of it. But we need you guys to be a part of it. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere podcasts are found. All right, it's the big thing. Let's do it. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Nice to have you here. Yeah. It is. It's been a long, fun week. Yesterday's show was crazy. I never understand how, do me a favor. Let me know, how this works. I just don't understand. Some people tell me they don't get the notifications that YouTube sends the things. And then sometimes I figure, hey, people see a title they don't really give a crap about, and they move on to the next thing. Where do you land? Because yesterday's thing was Rebel Moon, and Zack Snyder saying that he was going to have a director's cut of Rebel Moon already, but then there was also Big Balls, the chipmunk, is on the thumbnail with his balls on Brett's shoulders. And did all right. Fine. Kind of the average. But there's a moment on there that's just, when Big Ball shows up, we were crying laughing. And I just never understand how it works. Is it because, and be honest with me, you were scrolling through, you saw, I don't know, I'll wait to the Friday episode where he's talking about the comic book movies, or checked out that Ahsoka thing. I'll wait until next week on Ahsoka. I like the UAP show, and Roxy's not on this week, so I skipped it. I got to hear the feedback, or I didn't get it because the algorithm didn't, or the YouTube didn't send it to my subscriptions. comment to tell me, because that helps also. The more you let me know and the comments go in there, I figure it out. We're still going to we did the goofball show yesterday. I think whenever Brett and I are going to be on together, we're going to play that goofball theme, and God knows what's going to happen. But you know what sucks? What did happen, what I knew was going to happen, Dune 2, pushed. Stinks. Here's the story. Dune Part 2 is delayed into 2024. Studios really start to panic. This is from Sam Barsanti over at AV Club. And Sammy boy, I think it's Sammy boy. I don't know, Sam will say. The Alliance. So Sam writes, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers hasn't had an especially great week. Just yesterday, we reported the long-awaited return to the bargaining table with the Writers Guild of America, which is apparently just a scheme to try to force the members into turning on their union to make it seem like negotiating committee was simply being obstinate in the face of a good offer from the studios. The WGA even said that instead of a negotiation, the AMPTP returned to the bargain with a lecture about how good their single and only counteroffer was. Like most of the AMPTP moves, it seemed to do a little more than re-energize that striking workers, and now the studios are willfully suffering the consequences of their own refusal to meet the demands of the writers and actors they depend on so much. As reported by Deadline, Warner Bros. Discovery has officially decided to bump Dune Part 2 from November all the way to March. And not only is it definitely because of the strikes, but it's also definitely a desperation move that shows the studios are nervous. This isn't a movie coming out in a month or even 2 months. It was coming out in November. It had trailers with the old date attached to Oppenheimer and other big movies this summer. Delaying it now means those trailers were a waste. And it also means the studio doesn't have much faith the strike's going to be resolved by November. But that will just make the studio even more desperate to get deals for the writers and actors before March. So while the studio is doing what it can to salvage a potential box office for the movie, because Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet can't do any promotion for the film while on strike, it is also giving more leverage to the unions by doing this. Basically, this is proof that the studios are in trouble and they know it. However, the other big Warner Brothers movies, Wonka, Aquaman, and Color Purple, will hold their release dates in December, which could mean that the studio has more faith in ending the strike by then. But Deadline also says that exhibitors, theater owners, have made it loud and clear that they need movies like Air after the COVID closures. So perhaps delaying Dune 2 was the one move the studio felt it could make, while a mass delay would have been more disruptive than it could handle. Yeah, because the theater's going to be in trouble. Either way, all this does is delay the inevitable and treat the symptom but not the cause. The unions aren't going to cave because the movies got delayed, but the studios will have to cave if they keep delaying movies. This is the stubborn kind of greediness behind it. Because it's inevitable, man. The unions are not going to cave. They're just not. They've been out there now for months. It's like they have been the result. I think that the studios took for granted the resolve of the writers and the actors, because the ones that are really, I mean, there are a lot of people that are out there, even the real successful ones, but on the picket lines, but even the ones that are struggling and barely kind of making means end, when they're out there, when they're working normally, they're losing money. And I have friends that are writers and rely on their consistency to pay for their families, everything too, and they're struggling, they're hurting, and they have to get other jobs and other things too. And they are used to this. They're not gonna stop, nor should they. And the studios, when they look back in history, the studios are gonna be the ones that are, the fingers are pointed, and the people who are in those seats right now, they could have ended this a long time ago, because that's ultimately what that article just said, and I agree with every word, is that they're going to have to cave. It's not, the studios were the ones in that, I can't remember which one it was, but one of the executives saying basically they're just going to bleed the writers out and let them starve and let their family starve and let others, and then eventually they'll come to the table with doing what they want. That's not happening. It's the other way around. Because if they start pushing movies and losing more money and they can't promote, and the actors aren't promoting and they're losing more money, and Warner Bros. Is taking a hit and Disney's taking a hit and all these movies are taking a hit, it's exactly right what that article says. Eventually, they're not going to let they might December movies might take a hit, and Aquaman might get pushed back, and Wonka might get pushed back, but they're not going to let it go past March. They're not. They're going to cave, and what they're going to realize is that they should have done this a while ago and just now you get these reports that they're worried that if they cut a deal now with the writers here, that once the writers go on strike in I think the UK, that comes up in a year, that they're going to ask for the same thing, so they want to be careful. It's like, just pay them what they deserve. How about that? So either way, they're going to it's going to take a massive chunk, and it really has, out of the economy. And when we were talking about this on the show, it was kind of inevitable that Dune was going to be the first one to take the hit, because Zaslav is going to be the guy that's got to be pushing everybody to get to the table and figure it out. But like, if you're following along with what they said, they basically, the writers were like, "Oh yeah, let's get to the table, let's do it." And then the studios presented this deal and said, "Well, this is the deal. You like it, right? Here it is. That's it. Take the deal. It's a great deal. This is the deal we presented, and this is why you should take that deal that we presented to you guys. So here it is." Like, well, we were told this is a negotiation. Well, it's the deal. Take the deal. That's a good deal, right? This is why you should take this deal, because all this is everything we presented here. This is the best deal. Take the deal. And like, well, yeah, but that's not a negotiation. That's just you saying that your deal is so great and that we should take it. And then studios went into, look at this great deal that we had. We're happy that they're going to be able to look at this and realize this is a great deal. And they're like, no, this is not what this is. This is them just telling us how great their deal is, and their deal still sucks. And it's still not addressing the stuff that we need them to address, so it's going nowhere. So it's like, you're going to have to cave. The studios are going to have to cave. You're going to have to cave. And it's exactly what's going to happen, because it's a game at this point. That's all it is. It's a game. And it's like, you've got these people who are on the lines, the picket lines, and they're scrapping and fighting for everything. And it's like the age-old story, right? It's like that Rocky story almost, but it's like you think going into it that the scrappy fighters, maybe they have a puncher's chance, but usually the ones with the big tools and all the money, they're going to be able to hold out. They're going to be fine. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that way. They're going to have to change. They're going to have to cave, because there's only so many Dunes they're going to be able to push. And once they push Aquaman, I mean, someone asked in this Q&A portion soon anyway about how realistic Aquaman is to make it. Aquaman 1 made $1 billion. So that, out of the other ones, because Shazam 1 did decent for its budget, and then Shazam 2 ate a big pile of shit. Black Adam really just either almost broke even or just lost a little money, but only did that, in my opinion, because of two things. One, The Rock is a major movie star, and because of the promotion of Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. There was no attached thing to it. There was no previous movie. It was a fairly unknown character that, again, should have been made for a lot less money and could have been way more profitable, in my humble opinion. Blue Beetle, unknown property. Still hoping word of mouth helps it out. I think it's a charming little movie, even though I thought that again, I do think, and I think there's a bigger problem with superhero movies, is the generic side of it, because I think the superhero side of Blue Beetle is its biggest detriment. But we'll see. And then The Flash, which, recognizable character, but had so many other issues, and coming off of no one. It's not a character that did well in the past. As where Aquaman, $1 billion for that first movie. Jason Momoa, pretty big movie star, coming off of Fast X, which I can't believe that movie almost cost $400 million. Whatever. Oh my god, this is stupid, so stupid. Anyway, so Aquaman 2, does it have a shot to make $1 billion? I say no. I say it has no shot whatsoever, but I hope I'm wrong. because so many losses, like so many losses for DC. I mean, that's bad for the brand, regardless if it's part of the new regime or not. It's a lot of L's. So I hope it makes money. I hope it at least makes a profit. But it's got some baggage already. It's got Amber Heard. You know, it's got a bunch of reshoots in there that they and there's always reshoots. There are always reshoots. It's usually like 1 or 2 rounds of reshoots. This has 4. And there's a lot of rumors swirling around that it's not good. And there's been rumors before the movies haven't been good, and they turned out to be pretty good. So, who knows? I think of the most famous one is Titanic. The movie did all right. So it's still possible the movie does well, but they can't afford. They can't afford to keep pushing movies. So I think something's going to happen, and you'll hear more of it. But it's a game. It's an ego game. It's a greed game for the studios. And I think that they just need to say, look, we got to take the hit. We got to take the hit. We got to, and I know it's going to shape the business differently. I know it's going to do this, and we got to. The streamers, we got to. We're not. They're not budging. They're not going to budge. They have the upper hand right now. Make a deal. Get it over with. Just, I mean, you guys can afford it. Studios can afford it. Find a way, so you don't have. So you have now. I agree. You have a little less money. Sorry. Zoloft. It's silly. Make a deal, because you're costing the whole. I mean, this does. By the way, if you're watching this, you don't really give a shit about what are the actors and writers that you're wrong. First of all, because there's so like it's not just Chris Pratt and Margot Robbie out there. It's people who are just background workers and character actors and writers on shows. That it's just like it's a normal job that they just have to go from one gig to the next, and they need the benefits, and it's even in general too. And again, I even saw this in a different light when I heard Katie and Bryce Dallas Howard talking about it when she did blah blah blah, and they don't even someone as successful as Bryce Dallas Howard, like there's a lot that comes out of what they take out of people's checks for, and the more successful, the more stuff gets taken out. Agents and fees and taxes, and it's like the whole thing. Anyway, so I'm glad that they're. I think this is going to go in the favor of the writers and the actors. I really do. From the way that this is why this whole Dune thing is relevant, obviously. But I'm bummed about it coming out in March. Wanted to see it this year. And turns out my list for anticipated was right, not put it on there. But how you guys feeling about it, man? Let me know. Tell me in the comments section. You think this is the right move for? Do you think I'm right that this is basically, or what the article said the same thing, that the studio is going to have to cave, because there's no world where the writers and the actors are caving now. It's been too long. If they were going to cave, they were going to cave earlier. They would have caved earlier. It's too long. If you're out there this long, you're in for the long haul. You're going to fight for the most fair deal that you go, no, that's the deal we wanted. Maybe it's not exactly what we wanted, but at least we wanted that. You're not going to leave with, oh man, we really wanted this, and they didn't give us anything. We're screwed still. That's the deal they presented, and they didn't take it. So good on them. Very curious to hear your thoughts, guys. Go ahead, leave your comments, and let's talk about it. All right, before we move on, as I've been telling you guys all week, and I hope you've been listening, and I hope that if you've been looking for a good mattress, you've been trying HELIX Sleep, and I'll tell you exactly why. Here you go. It's time for a new mattress. This video is sponsored by HELIX Sleep. Their Labor Day sale is running now, and it's a great time to upgrade your mattress. You can get 25% off your purchase for a limited time if you check out the HELIX site for more details. I got a new mattress from HELIX, and I love it. When I had heard that HELIX was coming on board, or they were interested in it, I was like, well, my wife and I, we really do need a new mattress for our room. And we've had our old one for about 6 years or so. And it's like, yeah, let me check it out. It's really great. Premium mattresses customized to fit your needs, conveniently shipped right to your door. HELIX's sleep quiz, it matches you to the perfect mattress based on your body type and your sleep preferences. I need a nice, relaxing bed and nice and comfy and something good for my back. I sleep on my side, so I had all that stuff, and it let me know exactly what was right. The HELIX sleep mattresses are fiberglass free. They deliver the mattress right to your door, free shipping in the US, and it comes rolled up in a box, and it's really easy to set up. We got the HELIX Sunset Luxe. And already when I got it, I was like, oh man, put it on the bed, on the frame, and we laid down on it, and I was just like, oh, it's so soft and it's so comfortable. And what the hilarious thing is we let it air out, and we had my in-laws over, and I was outside, and I walk in, and my mother-in-law is just laying on the bed. This is so comfortable. It's amazing. And my kids want to like lay on it. It's super. It's just, you just kind of sink into it, and it's just so comfortable. All right, there is a Labor Day sale going on right now, August 21st to August 31st. Visit helixsleep.com/bigthing and get 25% off HELIX mattresses plus 2 free pillows during the Labor Day sale. It's running now for a limited time. Again, that is helixsleep.com/bigthing. Get 25% off the mattress here. It's amazing. So go ahead and check it out. Thank you again to HELIX for being involved in the show. Very excited to have them for a sponsor. If you're looking for a new mattress and you've been looking for a new mattress, please consider them. I'm loving it. The picture you saw was from my place. That's my mattress. It's before we put the sheets on. That's after we put the sheets on. That's everything. I love it, and I'm very excited that they're on board. So please consider them, and not only will you be super satisfied, you'll also be helping out the show. So use the link in the description. Please go and check it out right now. All right, once again, HELIX Sleep. That mattress is the best. I'm so glad I got it. And you can see I put a picture of my room in there. I put a picture of how it was when it was unboxed. And I hope that you really, if you are looking for a mattress, you consider it because it's so good and super comfy. And they throw in pillows, man. They throw in pillows. Use that code. All right. So now what I did was I was on the YouTubes this morning, and I said, let me throw in a couple of, let's do a Q&A portion today. And normally we do the capes and cows. And that's another reason too, by the way, that I'm really looking for this strike to come to an end, everybody, because we also want to get the crew back together as well, and hopefully we can do that soon, probably be towards the end of the year. But we still get, Mike comes in, and then Roxy's coming in for the UAP show. She's away at the moment, but she'll be back. Get Riley in on the Tuesday shows, and Brett's still here, and so it's kind of like it's mixed. It's mixed. But I will say on Monday, which is awesome, is Miri Jetikin from Schmoes No Fans and back in the day, and the AMC Movie Talk, and you guys know her from there. If you don't know her, she was the producer on my show for a while, and she's fantastic. She's not in this business anymore, but we're gonna actually be talking about the strike, and she actually works as a therapist now. So we're gonna talk about how the kind of mental health strains of the strike and how that is effective and all that stuff. It's a pretty fascinating episode. So I hope you join me on Monday. But all right, let's get some of these questions. We got a few of them. Here's the first one. Okay, this one's from Rocky McFly 5834. What do you think is the better quality wise, the DCEU or Phase 4 and 5 of the MCU? Yeah, that's a tough one, right? What I've enjoyed more, or what I think is better quality? Because I'll be honest, like I've enjoyed a lot of the DCEU movies. I've enjoyed the majority of them. I'm one of the few people that enjoyed Black Adam. I don't think it's a great movie. I think the majority of the DCEU's movies that have come out have been fairly generic, but I've enjoyed watching them, right? Love the family story, the superhero element of Blue Beetle, pretty generic, but I really enjoyed watching it. The Flash, stand by it. I liked the movie. Liked watching the movie. Thought having Michael Keaton back was awesome. When people try to do that stupid thing that they do, like, yeah, but you like the Flash. Yeah, so what, fuckface? I liked it. You didn't? Good for you. I liked it. But ate shit at the box office. Did real bad. Real bad. One of the biggest bombs, too. but I enjoyed it. What was the other one? Shazam, too. Thought Zach Levi was the worst problem of the movie, the way he was either directed or his choice, but he was playing a 13-year-old when he should have been playing an 18-year-old, but I didn't mind the movie. I thought the movie was fine. Had a fun time watching that movie. So I haven't disliked any of the movies. Thoroughly disliked Thor, the last Thor. The more and more that's one of those movies that just gets worse and worse when I think about it. Didn't love Doctor Strange, but again, quality-wise, I think they're better made movies than a lot of the other ones that I've talked about. I don't necessarily know if that's true. But I mean, you got to also include some of the shows, right? But I guess is phase 5 for phase 4 and 5 also should include Loki season 1, which is great, and WandaVision, which is great. Quality stuff. So I don't know. I think Marvel still has it as far as quality goes overall. But and it's also not fair to them because they have so much. So there's more to not like. There's like She-Hulk and some other things. And well, wait a minute, did you like the first 2? I did. I liked the first 2 episodes very much. And then it got worse. But yeah, and there's no direction to it, in my opinion. I know some people don't agree with that at all, and it doesn't feel like there's much direction to it. That's more my problem with the MCU. But quality-wise, I still think MCU's got them. But I don't know. I've enjoyed myself watching the DCEU movies. Who knows? That's just me. All right, next one, the great Wicked Art. And speaking of Wicked Art, if you guys didn't know this already, if you like our UAP show, Wicked Art did this design. UAP, Big Thing shirt. That is up on the store now. The link is in the description, as you saw in the beginning of the show. The TeePublic ad. If you go to my store, you'll see it. It's the first one, and it's still on sale right now. I love that shirt. I already ordered myself one. I'll be wearing it very soon. Well, Wicked Art asked this. He said, hey, Kristian, I don't know if you know about Rogue from the X-Men comics. Of course, I love Rogue. But one of the things I didn't like from the old X-Men movies was they didn't give her ability to fly and super strength. True. Do you think when the new X-Men come to the MCU, they will do right by her and give her a full set of powers, or do you think there's a practical reason why they would just give her the power absorption only like they did in the originals? I do think they're going to give her all her powers. I mean, I would like to think they're going to give her all. I think that if it was 2 or 3 phases ago, they would have definitely done that. The reason I say that is because Kevin Feige is a massive X-Men fan. He's a massive Fantastic Four fan. But I think that when it comes to the mutant stuff, I think that he really responds to that stuff. And I think he's going to want to, he's a big comic book fan. So I still stand by the idea that Kevin Feige is stretched so thin, and he's been doing this for so long that who knows where his attention and where the majority of his energy is going these days. He was so involved in the beginning of the earlier phases. Is he? And it's not to say he's not. I don't know. It feels like it's been lacking a little bit. And I know that you guys are tired from me saying this. I know it's a drinking game when I bring it up, and I understand. But yeah, I always bring up that moment when Winston and I were at the Thor premiere, and they were interviewing Feige, and they asked him, well, they all these different movies, they always have the different tone, and they always have the spy tone, or the John Hughes tone, or the horror tone, or what's this? And he said, well, this is just a Taika Waititi movie. I went, oh no, nothing against Taika, but that was never the answer. That was never the answer. And it was like, and that's a Feige thing too. It's like it just shows that there's less of a direction, and we just want the directors to do this and that. And it's like, and I get it. I get the argument for people going, well, don't you want, it's great to have the director have their own voice and to have their own thing. They can have their own voice and still follow the MCU. There's this common misconception that if they're following the MCU plan and they're just going off what the MCU wants, that they can't have their own voice. Well, Ryan Coogler begs to differ. When you look at what Black Panther did, and you look at the pitch that he had, also furthering it into furthering the MCU, that's how you do it. There's other things that stand, so like Sam Raimi fans absolutely love Doctor Strange too. And I think if I was it's Sam Raimi heads, I should say. If if I was a Raimi head, I would love it too. It's such a Raimi movie. It really is. I'm just not major. I've just never been a massive Sam Raimi guy. And I think that it's more about a Sam Raimi movie than it is a MCU movie. And I think that's clear because they don't even know what the hell they're doing with that Charlize Theron scene. They like just kind of like threw it in there. None of them watched or read the scripts to WandaVision and all of that. It's like there's no hold to it. So I think that if Feige gets a hold of the X-Men and I've said this many times over, I think the future past this whole multiverse thing, and as much as I love multiverses and interdimensions and all that kind of shit, I love it. I love it more so in the idea that it could be real. But I think it's actually hurt the MCU. And I think once it's over and once the multiverse saga is done with, they can just focus on Fantastic Four and X-Men for years, and just make X-Men movies, a Rogue movie, a Storm movie, a Wolverine movie, a Cyclops movie, then make the X-Men movie, the same way they did for like the Avengers. Same thing. And Rogue, you can get more into her history, more into her story, more about all of her powers. And then when they finally come together and they all meet and form the X-Men or whatever, however they want to do it. But they're probably going to all meet up and stuff before that in Secret Wars. But I do think that if Feige has it his way, the way they used to really want to do it, I think that Rogue would have her powers. Nick Alexander 7618. What DC character would you like to see Blue Beetle interact with? And do you think DC should scrap Aquaman and stick to just the Batman 2 and Joker 2 next year? Well, they can't scrap Aquaman. I mean, the movie cost millions upon millions of dollars to make. I mean, I think it's pushing probably 260 now because of reshoots and everything too. Who knows how much that movie costs to make? But and it's a sequel. They're not. That's the tax write-off and stuff. To never release it anywhere. They're not going to do that. They're going to release it. They're going to have to release it, and they should release it. They try to make some money off of it, even if it's a massive loss. At least they make like $100 million off of it. Get something back. You'll make at least $100 million off of it, at the very least. And I still think it's got a shot to do very well. I mean, people like Jason Momoa. I like Jason Momoa. I hope it's good. I hope it's a good movie. I'm rooting for it to be a good movie. I just don't know. Because I think part of as we were just talking about the MCU, I think the lack of the direction for DCEU hurt it drastically. Nobody really knew what it was. What was happening, how it was tying into what, and you do a movie, go ahead, James Gunn, make the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker over there, and then you go make Aquaman 2, you make Shazam 2, hey, you over there, you do that movie, and it's like, do they kind of link together with what? I don't know anymore. And so that's one of the reasons too. But no, they shouldn't scrap it. They definitely shouldn't scrap it. And as far as which character I want to see Blue Beetle interact with, I think that once they make him part of the DCEU, and it's just again, I don't understand I guess we'll get more clarity as we get closer, but James Gunn says that Blue Beetle and Jaime Reyes the character is part of the DCEU, and it seems like Xolo will be part of the DCU rather. But the movie isn't. Just make the movie part of it. Just make the movie part of it, because what do they don't want to have the box office failure part of it? And I'm still crossing my fingers at the word of mouth. I'm very curious to see how this weekend works for that movie. I don't know. I will say though, I've seen that movie and I've seen Gran Turismo. If people are like, all right, I can only see one movie, Kristian. What are you gonna? Out of the two of them, I can only see one, and I want to see a really good movie. What do I see? I'm sending you to Gran Turismo. I really like that movie a lot. And again, I liked Blue Beetle, man. I enjoyed it. I had fun watching it. But Gran Turismo was good. I enjoyed Gran Turismo a lot. Really good movie. I would venture to say one of Neil Blomkamp's best, next to District 9. So yes, but as far as who I'd want him to interact with if he's in the DCU, And if you're going to do it, if you're going to make the movie part of the canon, I would do Batman. And especially if it's Jensen Ackles, I would do Batman and he could say something about his uncle. His uncle could meet him, change his opinion on him, whatever. That would be a good one. So, all right, next one. Victor Garrity, 7158. I hope it's not too personal. Has going through your personal losses and the grief that comes with changed what fatherhood and family means to you? It's a fantastic question. And it's and no, it's not too personal. I mean, I appreciate you asking that and starting with that. And I would have obviously not chosen it if I didn't want to talk about it. But so what he's referring to in general, man, over the last, I would say 2018 until, shoot, this year alone, I've had a lot of loss in my life for sure. In 2018, I lost my good buddy, John Schnepp, who a lot of you may or may not know from, most of you probably know Johnny, from the Collider days and AMC, and he was the best. He was just such a wonderful, wonderful soul and a very funny guy. I loved talking with him. We got along really, really well. We would make each other laugh on the air all of the time. Used to take drives to Comic-Con together, and he was just he was a phenomenal man. And we lost him way too early, and that was in like July of 2018. About 2 or 3 weeks later, I lost my brother at 37 years old, weeks later. So I went through a lot of it, and people always ask this too. And again, from, sometimes, and people still will come in here sometimes and say the things about whether it's the Galaxy's Edge thing or the, or whatever it might be. Aren't you guys says you think busting his ass for Star Wars? And I've said it many times to people who, some people who didn't really know the full extent of it, and I've talked about it since, but like, and this is why I make a big pitch to everybody, especially if you're going through something, you got to talk to people, because I let that shit bottle up. That particular year, bottle up for a year, not talking to anybody, and just be like, I'm fine, and just kind of having that bubble up, and then you either saw it or you didn't. I went to work and let it out, and and pay for it sometimes still in the comments, but it is what it is. But my point is, you gotta you grow if you either grow or you don't inside of that. And then this year, my mom's sister, who I was pretty close with, she passed away, and months earlier, March, my Uncle Mark, who was my dad's brother, passed away. He passed away in March. So it was March and then May. Yeah, March and May. So it was like that. So it just happens. It's part of life. You never really prepared for it. But to answer your question, it's like, yeah, I think that I look at I talk about it actually on the show with Miri on Monday. We recorded it today. And I've just been approaching my life very differently, and I think it's something that comes with the years, the mileage, if you will. And you look at things a little differently, and you try to take all your life experiences, the good, the bad, the sad, the happy, all of it, and you try to do that, and especially when you have kids. So yeah, I absolutely look at all that stuff, and all the mistakes that I've made, and I think that's the thing though too. As I've been looking at things too, I've been paying attention to everything. All you can't. I have found where you would say in the past, oh man, if I would have done that differently, or I wish I wouldn't have done that, because that all these things define you, all these things. And the question is, how do you maneuver, right? And you say, what'd you learn from that? As I just mentioned, I knew from that stupid thing that happened on the air, I knew, and still, like I said, I still get comments about it today. If somebody finds a short, and you're the guy that complained about Galaxy's Edge, it's like, you make your own bed. I get it. But inside of that, I said to myself, well, look at that. What, and I decided about, I think it was a year, maybe 2 years ago, that I said, I never really talked about it. And I never really talked about the anger that I had. And I never really talked about the sadness that I had for that amount of time. And you and I've gotten so many messages from people in general on the good, as much as I mentioned, kind of people who want to talk, who want to poke you. There's tons of good, especially on this channel. And one of the ones I've been getting for years is that I listen to you all the time. It puts a smile on my face. I really enjoy watching it. And I'm like, well, those are the type of people that still also need to hear, don't keep things bottled up. Talk to people if you can. It's also when I talk about, when we have on BetterHelp, who's coming in next week, like I talk about people talking to people and not just necessarily people that you can talk to, like just friends, family, whoever. Because I didn't, and I definitely should have. So, long answer. I hope that answered the question. Prayer of Serenity 14. Have you been keeping up with Boom Studios? Well, it's funny you should ask. Of course, I keep up with Boom Studios. They're on every other week right now, as far as a sponsor. But I always keep my buddy Ryan is over there, and Ryan is the one that I worked with at Skybound, and we started talking about stuff. And and then after talking to Coy and everything that Coy has done with them, I'm telling you, I love what Boom Studios is doing. They are like revolutionary in my opinion. Like the type of stuff that they have, and they can play in the superhero genre, they play in the horror, they play in the action, drama, like they have everything. They're going to be a very prominent studio as far as comic and TV and movies for a very long time. And speaking of Boom, let's get into it right now. Speaking of Boom, Power Rangers, and it is the biggest Power Rangers comics event, and it's finally here, just in time to celebrate the 30th anniversary of this iconic series. That's nuts. The darkest hour has begun, and this week's issue of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is kicking off a year-long event that will change the entire Power Rangers universe forever. Issue number 111 is the start of the Darkest Hour event. It is available now at your local comic book shop, and don't delay. The first printing of the issue has already sold out. Look at this art. I love this art. It's incredible. If your store has run out of copies, ask them to order the upcoming second printing edition featuring brand new cover art by legendary artist Dan Mora. I am loving look, I'll tell you right now. So Winston is a big Power Rangers guy, and the second Boom came on, they were talking about this series that they've had, and we've covered a few different ones, and I was like, because I didn't mind the movie, by the way, when the movie came out, and Winston's like, you got to really check out what Boom is doing, man. I think it's right up your alley, and it was, and it's like, it wasn't that I didn't like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as I've grown up, it was just after my time, it was like I was already kind of grown out of it. It was so I thought, as far as when it was, I guess when people started discovering around, they were like 11, 12, 13. I was like 18, 19, whatever it was at the time. I wasn't paying attention to it. But the lore is great. And I love what and this art is, I love, it's very fantasy. It's got a real good, it's almost like a horror to it. And it's obviously from the name of it, the darker tone. So please check. If you're a Power Rangers fan, it's a must. If you're never really been into Power Rangers, but want to try like me, great series to do. So once again, please go and check it out. Thank you to Boom, as always, for joining us. So we love Boom. Okay, let's go. Next question here. Graham Gillis 7813. Hey, Kristian, longtime sub. Thank you. Just love the channel, so thanks. Thank you. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. There's a lot of positivity on this channel. Tons of it. Just curious, since you caught up and love The Boys TV show, are you going to watch The Boys spin-off TV show in September called The Boys Gen V? Check out the trailer. Well, I've seen the trailer. I've talked about it. I thought it looked fine. I thought it looked like it just, what I was worried about with it was, are they just doing the kind of shock value thing to do it? Because when they did it in season 3, it was kind of out of nowhere, and they do those moments throughout the entire series. But the trailer for this one really kind of overcooked it. Again, for me, could wind up being absolutely amazing. And I'm going to watch it. The answer is yes, I will definitely watch it. I'm invested in this universe. And I also think because from the way they're teasing it is we could see some of the characters pop up in The Boys, in this kind of shared universe. So I'll definitely be watching it. The first trailer, though, when I saw it, I was like, it's fine. There are other people who love the trailer, and I hope it's fantastic. I'm already in. I would have been in if I didn't watch the trailer, because seasons 1 through 3 have already got me invested in the world. So I want to see where they go with it. So fingers crossed. All right, next one. Thank you for the wonderful comment. It was very kind. Justin Latham. Why do you personally think we keep getting meh offerings from the MCU? Guardians 3 was the clear exception. Do you think they should start hiring writers who actually like the source material? It seems to be a huge issue in movie and TV space when you look at the MCU and shows like The Witcher. The producers seem to not see a reason to stick to the source material and build upon it. But I think we're seeing the fruits of a lack of passion on all kinds of properties these days. Yes, and I think it has a lot to do with the stuff that they're talking about with the strikes, right? It's also how much time you can put into it, how many people that you can do it with, how many projects you want to get out. And I also think by pulling back a little bit, they're putting out too much content. So with that, not only putting out too much content, you're putting a lot of strain on visual effects people, you're putting a strain on the writers, you're putting a strain on Kevin Feige, you're putting on a strain on too many people when you're putting out this much. But that's what happens when a corporation has something and that's making us money, we'll put out more of it. They love it. They're going to eat it up more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And it's like, but that's not what it's about. And I think that's what I was talking about before, where it's like there was a clear-cut vision of these things. And yes, there were standalone movies, no doubt about it, but those standalone movies led to an event. And it built up because, like I've said before, where there is not a lot of build-up to these characters yet. It's like we saw Shang-Chi once, haven't seen him since. His sequel, we don't even know when his sequel's coming out. He was the closest one to becoming like an all-star. And where is he? Even in post-credit scenes, where is he? So there's the build-up hasn't been great. They're trying to build up. They're trying to make all these different all-stars and try to do it, but they don't. There doesn't seem to be a lot of focus in how they're doing it. And I think it was what I mentioned earlier. They're too focused on having the director come in and go, yeah, do what you want to do. It was the problem that Star Wars had for the first those movies, the new trilogy. You do what you want to do. It's fine. You do your movie, JJ. And then Ryan, don't listen to a damn thing he did. Make your own movie. And then Trevorrow, do yours. Oh, you actually are linking back to both those movies? No. We're going to bring JJ in again, and he's just going to negate everything Ryan just did. What? And it's not that, and the MCU is not doing that. They're not negating stuff, but it just seems like they're going over director style more so than they are build up these phases. That's where I think the lack comes from. And I will say this: I do think that there is, if you don't make the movie super special with great, and it's not easy to do, right? So great movies are hard to find, but you got to have great writing, and you got to have you can't have the generic stuff, and just to hire the special effects team to do the same, like all these movies, it's the same thing. It's like, here you go, this is what's going to happen. At the very end, there's going to be this big $90-100 million big set piece. The audience will go, ooh, and they'll throw popcorn in their face, and that's it. The big bad got taken out by our heroes. Yay. And it's like, we're over that shit. That's what they do in every single movie now. It's the same thing. Make it, and obviously there's always a structure, but make it different. Make it feel different. That's why I love Guardians 3, as you mentioned. Guardians 3 was done very well. I loved Guardians 3. Guardians 3 is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I loved Guardians 3. Definitely my favorite Guardians movie. I know some people, not everyone agrees with me there, but I loved Guardians 3. I want to watch it again. Okay, next one. Jordan David 6190. What is your most anticipated DCEU project announced? You're not going to like the answer because it's probably the easy one. The Superman. I love Superman. Superman's my favorite superhero all time, and it came from the Christopher Reeve one when I was a kid. Somewhere, I think it's at my dad's house, there's a card that I gave him for Father's Day where I wanted him to, I must have been 5. And I wanted him to take me to see Superman 3 with Richard Pryor. And I have that. I have that card somewhere. Anyway, I love Superman. Always love Superman. And want to see what I think is a great way to start. It's a great way to start your he's your guy if it's done the right way. So and I think David Cornsweet has the right look. I don't know enough about him as an actor, as I've been saying. I think he's got the perfect look. Really like Rachel Brosnahan. I still think that we're going to get Nicholas Hoult as Lex. And I do hope that they focus more so on Superman. I know that they have Green Lantern and everybody else in the damn movie, but I hope that they're focusing on a Superman story. James Gunn says that's what it is. But yeah, I'm highly anticipating that one. They're sticking with Jordan Davis. All right, sticking with Jordan Davis. How many times do you exercise a week? How many times do you exercise a week? I've been walking consistently throughout the week, and I'm considering purchasing AG1. I walk 3 times a day because this is what I love about having a dog. I have to take him on these big long walks, but I take him on the real long walk at the end of the day. The beginning of the day, I take him on a nice size walk. His middle walk is the shorter one, and then the end of the day is the long walk where we both get a lot of exercise. But AG1, I take it every day, man. I take it every morning. I love it. And it's really amazing, and it's helped me, and it really has turned my life around. To be honest with you, it makes me feel so good. It's cut coffee down. I love coffee, but I don't drink it as much. I only need 1 cup. I used to have like 2 or 3. So yeah, that's what I do. And look, if we're talking about AG1 now, I might as well tell you about both AG1 and NUTRAFOL right now. Here you go. You guys are very familiar with AG1, and I'm glad that I am. I love AG1. They've changed my life, man. They really have. Our next partner is AG1. It's the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it every day. I wake up in the morning. I shake up a scoop in a bottle of water. And actually, I've been using this cup I got from the zoo. Don't ask me why, but that's what I've been doing normally. And I put it in this cup, and I shake it around. And I love my coffee. I'm not going to tell you that I don't love coffee, but I only take 1 cup of coffee now. I only need 1 cup because AG1 is my sleep quality is better. Just everything about them. I feel like my immune system is better now. It's like there's so much better. I just feel overall, I feel so much more healthy. I've been in a better mood since I've been taking AG1. I really have, and I love it. It's so good because I can't do it's hard for me to do the supplemental routine. It comes with a whole bunch of different products, and it's just, I don't know. It's just easier for me to do it all with 1 shot. And since I've been drinking AG1, I've known just a lot of mental clarity. My digestion is easier. I'm focusing a lot better. So for me, I don't understand why people would want to take a bunch of different things where you can just take 1 scoop, put it in powder, shake it up once a day, boom. Because AG1 was designed with ease in mind so you can live healthier and better without having to complicate your routine. It's the best. I am so excited, and I'm so glad they're with us. They've been with us for so long, and I had someone over the weekend ask me, "Hey, I want to support the show. I want to try AG1. You think I'll enjoy it?" I said, "Yes, you will enjoy it for sure." And one of the things I really like about it too is that it tastes good. It's green. It tastes good. I'm telling you, and it smells good too. My wife the other day, she's like, "What smells like berries?" I was like, "AG1, man." So if you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You have to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. Check it out. You'll thank me later. Don't be embarrassed. Don't do it. Listen, did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, guys. But it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of thinning with NUTRAFOL. NUTRAFOL is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. NUTRAFOL's hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. Their drug-free, patented technology provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. Go to Nutrafol.com/men to take their hair wealth wellness quiz. Identify causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health through whole body wellness. It works. In a clinical study, 84% of men showed improvement in their hair after 6 months taking Nutrafol men's hair growth supplements. Everybody feels this way as you're getting older. You're like, "Oh man, am I the only one? Why is this happening to me? This and that." We're in an age now where you can get it helped. You can get it fixed. Take the first step. to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, NUTRAFOL is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to NUTRAFOL.com/men, but you have to enter that promo code Big Thing. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend NUTRAFOL for healthier hair. NUTRAFOL.com/men. NUTRAFOL.com/men and enter that code Big Thing. That's NUTRAFOL.com/men, promo code Big Thing. All right, thank you to our sponsors, AG1 and NUTRAFOL. I absolutely love them, and I hope that you guys, as I say on every single show, if you're able to, you have the means to, and you listen to this show all the time, and you enjoy this show, and you enjoy just, visiting us. And you're like, oh, I'd always wanted to contribute to the show. How do I do it? Consider getting AG1. Consider getting NUTRAFOL. Considering getting yourself a mattress over at HELIX. Whatever works for you. But go to those links. Get a T-shirt, man. If you get a UAP shirt through my link, that helps us out. That's one of our sponsors. So there you go. Go and check that out. All the links are in the description. Pinned comment in there as well. Let's do a few more before we call it a day. Stix017. How much money can the Marvels make now that Dune moved and they will most likely take its release date? I don't think it's going to take its release date. Is that what the rumor is? I don't think so. Why would they take Dune's release date in November? Wouldn't they just want to stick to December, Christmas holiday, and then cross your fingers that the strike is done at that point? Is there a rumor that they're going to take that date? I don't think that would be wise. I would say, yeah, because they're not moving there because of anything except the strike. So they would run into the same problem. They can't have their stars. That's a movie you want your stars to be out on the circuit. You want because I think that's a movie to me, and as I've been mentioning it many times over, this is very similar to me, like Blue Beetle and like Ms. Marvel. I'm more interested in seeing how the dynamic of these three actresses are than I am about the superhero element of it all. I feel like the superhero element, again, is going to be like, I've seen it already. It's how are they going to work together? How like their dynamic, this kind of buddy cop thing, how is that going to play? If that hits, that's going to be the enjoyable thing, at least for me. That's what it looks like they're really playing off of. You need the three of them on the circuit to sell that. You need them bouncing back and forth, laughing with each other, cracking jokes, because that's what the director said. Now, you know that I'm the one that is always like, because the director said it's a silly movie. I'm not crazy about that. I'm not crazy about that comment because it's the only one that's silly. And people are like, didn't you see Thor, Love and Thunder? That to me was beyond silly. He's silly. So that being said, though, I feel like minus the Jane story, there wasn't much heart in that Thor movie. I feel people, what about the Christian Bale thing? It was just kind of messy. If they throw some jokes in there, and it's like a lovable, silly, it's not the tone I'm looking for, but it could be enjoyable if it works with the three of them. I think Disney needs to move this till next year. I think that everything, unless they, again, doesn't seem like Iger's budging. If you know you're not going to budge, and you know you're not going to be able to put, that, as that article said in the beginning, that maybe they're just shifting Dune because they're confident enough that they think Warner Brothers rather, that Wonka and Aquaman 2 can still see promotion and can still see some profit and the strike can be over by then, and maybe at that point then that's why they're not going to move the Marvels past into that spot, because why would they move it if they can't have anybody promote it? So no, I don't think they should move it, and I move it up. And I think that if they're not going to budge, they should push it to next year. Michael Getz, 8172. What Marvel movies do you think will end up releasing next year? My money is on Cap 4 and Deadpool 3. Cap wrapped before the strikes, and Deadpool was close to finishing when they got shut down. Thunderbolt's definitely moving to 2024. Yeah, I think you mean 2025, right? Thunderbolt's moving to 2025 because next year is 2024. So Deadpool, Deadpool's got a lot of shooting left though too, doesn't it? From like they were shooting when the writer strike, and then they were shot as much as they could, but then they're still gonna have to do reshoots. That's gonna get moved again. I don't think it's gonna come out. What's it? Well, June or July. It just depends on when the strike ends. It just depends. It's too hard to predict. If it ends in the end of this year, then yeah, I think that Deadpool can still come out in 2024. But if it pushes into February, March, tons of stuff's going to get pushed. So again, hard to say, really hard to say without knowing what the hell's going to go on with the strikes. Mike Morgan, do you think theaters are going to survive next year after this strike? Yeah, I do. I think they're going to survive. I think that what's going to happen is that what we're just talking about here, theaters are going to have a lot of movies that are getting pushed from 2023 into 2024. So you're going to see a lot of big money weekends. Now they could take a little bit of a hit at the end of this year. Some of the big movies that they're really looking forward to, as again that article stated, like they need some of these movies the same way that, as they mentioned, that people need air. Theaters need these movies. So they might take a hit this year. Next year they'll be okay because everything's going to push into 2024. So they're going to see kind of an abundance. At least that's what I thought again for this year too. I thought because there's so many movies coming out this year because of the things getting pushed in from the pandemic, from 2021 into 2022 into 2023, that I thought I thought June of this month was going to be one of the biggest months in movie history, and boy was I wrong. Indiana Jones ate it. Flash ate it. Elemental, I don't know, barely broke even. And then you had, what else did you have in June? Transformers did okay, but it wasn't like a major, huge hit. And then the one, what was it? What else came out in June? Something big. I'm not thinking. I'm missing something. You guys can tell me in the comments. But there's something else that came out in June, I think, that did do well. But then July was the big month, and that was Oppenheimer and Barbie. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make money, but I do think that the theaters will be in okay shape next year. Jerry Crowshoe, is the constant shifts of rumors of the Fantastic Four cast going to hinder the movie's box office and hype? We went from Krasinski to Adam Driver to whoever it is now. I'm starting to lose hype. Your thoughts? Thanks for all you do. Well, thank you, Jerry. Very kind of you, and thank you for everything you do. Thanks for watching. I think that it's more of an annoyance than it is losing the overhype, because you got to remember this. The movie itself's not coming out for a little bit, and it's a rumor thing, and a lot of it, to be fair, are websites, shows like my own, things that where you hear this thing, you talk about it, you're curious if it's going to work out. Is that person right for the role? And then you guys are like, oh, but they keep talking about it. It's this person, it's that person. Who is it already? And you're exhausted with our coverage on it. You're exhausted with articles that are coming out. And then they do cast the movie finally, and then the trailers start to come out, and then the hype starts to come out a little bit more, and then you start to realize, okay, now that I know who it is, now I'm a little bit more hyped. So right now, I think you're more annoyed with our coverage on it, and which I understand completely, than anything else, right? Like, it's just like, even me, when I'm seeing this stuff go, I'm like, all right, well, who is it? It is Adam Driver. It's not Adam Driver. I mean, what's the deal? Who is it? I mean, come on. The guy's arm goes from here to here. It's got to be somebody. Let's do it. So yeah, I get it. I get the question, but I don't think it's the property itself. I think it's the coverage. Okay, next one. Rick Duran. Jeff Snyder made a suggestion of either Jason Sudeikis or Bill Hader for Reed Richards on the hot mic last week. I love these ideas, specifically Hader, who showed a shocking dramatic range on Barry. Rocha hated both. What are your thoughts on Jeff's take? I don't love the Sudeikis call, and I think that not that I like Sudeikis. I just think it's the same thing. I think he's a little older. I think that you got to look at the next 10 to 12 years of someone playing this character, and I think the same thing with Hader. I think maybe 10 years ago Hader would have been an interesting choice for that role, but I don't like. I think I'm siding with Rocha on this one. I like the balls of the casting choices, but no, to me, I still think Adam Driver. I think you do whatever you can to try to get Adam Driver. I like that choice. I think it's a good. I think it brings a lot of moxie to have him, and if it is indeed Vanessa Kirby, to have the two of them, it'd be great. Just figure out a way to make the role work for him. And yeah, I like the Driver call personally. All right, Brian Kalmus. I saw an article today that Brian Kalmus. I saw an article today that pointed out there will be 27 different MCU movies and shows between Captain America appearances. That seems like a problem. How can we get more invested in Sam Wilson's Captain America if we don't see him? What are your thoughts on what Marvel should be doing differently about seeing characters often enough? That's exactly what I was just talking about. It's exactly what I was talking about with with Shang-Chi. And you're absolutely right. Where's Captain America been? They should be setting him up. They should have him. I mean, this is not somebody who just got set up in one movie. The Falcon's been around forever. He's one of the linking things to the old phases, and now he's got a massive role. Put him in more stuff. Get us more invested in his position. I couldn't agree more. If you're gonna do a connected universe, you got to connect it, and especially if who your all-stars. Your all-stars are not playing all-star ball right now. So yeah, I agree. What can they be doing? I don't know. I really say that it's a matter that this strike is I don't envy them for where they've got to go after this strike, because now they've got to they're not going to hit all their dates. They're not going to hit that plan that they tried to announce. When was that, at Comic-Con? They're not going to hit all that stuff. And they have to also redesign it, because shows like Echo and other things, like they're just putting out too much, and they're putting out characters just to put out characters. Like you got to look at the way that what story do people really want to see, and what's the interesting story? And I like the fact that they're holding back. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think they gotta have Cap do more. Efron Guzman, what's up, man? Best adaptation of a comic film that you've seen. I mean, does The Dark Knight count? I guess it does, right? There's a lot of stuff that comes from Killing Joke inside of it. Am I wrong? It depends. I mean, that's a really good one. Dread is a great one. But I think Dark Knight is one of my favorite comic book movies, one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'd probably have to say Dark Knight. Is that a cop-out answer? Probably is. And finally, now this is not a comic book one, just another one, but I have to address this. Timothy David Leonard, do you think that Morak is Ezra? All right, so this is from the Ahsoka series. So if people don't know what that question is referring to, and you're not watching Ahsoka, there is an Inquisitor, and I was like, who is this Inquisitor? Who is this person? And I looked up the Star Wars definition of who he is, and or Wikipedia, whatever, and he's an Inquisitor that's been running around the joint he was running around with Vader, and he's running around with Palpatine. He was hunting down Jedi. He was hunting down people during the wars, and then he was, I guess, recruited by the Dathomir witch Morgan and Balin, and he runs with them now. So everybody's like, well, who the hell is he? You know, because he's got the double-bladed lightsaber, and there's so many. It's like the thing. It's like the Snoke theory. Now it's like, who is this guy? And the stupidest one that I've seen, let me rephrase that. If it is this, it would be the stupidest decision if it is Ezra. If it's Ezra, this show would stink to high heaven, because it would make no sense. It would be so dumb. It would be so dumb on so many different levels. The first is, don't turn Ezra bad. Why? You had a chance to do it for 5 seasons, and you teased it so many different times, and you almost did it. And then the whole point was his clarity of what he was able to do, the vision, and the fact that he had this kind of serenity from Kanan and everything he was able to accomplish, and he relaxed and he sacrificed himself, and he got lost with Thrawn out in the outer regions. That's part one. Part two is speaking off of that, the outer regions. If Ezra was able to find his way back when he was lost, then why doesn't he just tell if he is indeed this Inquisitor, why doesn't he just tell them where he is? And why do we need a map? Oh, I know where he was. I was just with him. I'll go get you there. So that makes no sense. And it's like the cliche thing of that, the cliche thing of, you know, the Ezra turning bad, and it wouldn't make any sense. It is to me the absolute one of the worst decisions in television ever if it happens. I mean, it really have to be defined in a way that makes sense, and that's hard. It would be idiotic. The other one I saw that I don't agree with is Darth Maul. Someone's like, take it to the bank. It's Darth Maul, double-bladed lightsaber, just makes sense. Look, well, and same reason that I would also, another reason that I don't think it's Ezra, that definition or the explanation of who this person is on the Wikipedia is that he's been running around for a while chasing them, or chasing Jedi rather. So that would cross Ezra off the list. It would also, I mean, you could say it was, well, why would Maul's whole thing and the whole reason that was keeping him alive was his bitter anger and resentment.
It's 5 o'clock on Friday.
Great. Alexa, be quiet. Alexa, shush your face.
Hope you have a good one.
No, don't cheer. Quiet over there. Sorry. Maul's whole thing was that he was angry and he was wanting Kenobi, wanted revenge. That's what kept him going. And then when he finally went after Kenobi and he fought Kenobi and Kenobi killed him, this peace came over him and he realized there was more to it. It was like Obi-Wan held him. There was this kind of mutual respect. And then he woke up afterwards, like, because I mean, apparently anybody can survive from getting hit with a lightsaber, I guess. So he wakes up and then goes, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not peaceful. I'm still mad. I'm going to leave Kenobi alone and not go find him because he beat me. But now I'm going to hunt down Jedi and I'm put on a mask. And I got to get Ahsoka because we had beef once. Again, dopey. The one I do like, I don't put it past Filoni to do this. I love the idea of Galen Merrick, Star Killer from the games, Sam Witwer finally making his live action appearance as an Inquisitor. Because to me, there's a lot less explaining that you have to do, and you can set it up as a brand new thing. Because Darth Maul, you got to explain too much. For people who've never watched any animation, and then you see Darth Maul pop up, if you never saw Solo, you'd be like, wait, Darth Maul? I thought he died in Phantom Menace. Or, wait a minute, Darth Maul, I thought he died in Rebel. Wait, what? Too much explaining. Ezra, too much explaining. Why is he Inquisitor? Why is the map? This Star Killer is one of these things where it's almost what they did with Thrawn when they took Thrawn and they put him in the Rebels for the first time, and they changed up a little bit of what they did in the past from the books, and they made it into their canon. They can change it up and Sam Witwer. The question has been, how long is it going to be before he's in a live action thing? And if you look at he had voice credits in this episode, the second episode. Now, I don't think that the Inquisitor said a damn thing. At least I don't think he did. But they just credit him in it. They credit Sam Witwer. So I think it's a great reveal for Star Wars kind of hardcore fans, and for new ones like, well, who's that? And then they introduce you to him. That's what I'm hoping. The fourth option is nobody. Just a guy. Just an Inquisitor. They take his mask off. Who's that? That's a guy who used to be a Jedi, and he runs around with them too. He's mysterious, and that's it. So, but the first two, the Ezra, the Maul one, I'll be like, that doesn't make much sense. I just don't think it would piss me off as much as the Ezra one, because the Ezra one, it's like, you don't need to make him bad, and you don't need to turn the apprentice good. Those are the two things, I really hope it's not coming. They're turning that apprentice good. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. It's like every single time someone turns good, someone turns bad. You don't need to do it every time. It makes the Vader thing and everything less special. And everybody knew Reva was going to turn good. And everybody knew. So don't. What, she's going to be fighting, and then she's going to realize that Sabine is good, so she's going to turn on Balin, and she's going to fight Balin, and it's like the whole point of it is that when they're really greedy, they want to fight each other. And that's what the beauty, if they are indeed Sith, one to crave the power. And he says to her in this last episode, she said, what does it mean for us? And he's just like, more like power, it's the immense power. Let her crave the power. Let her think she's going to rule the galaxy. Let her think that she's going to rule with Thrawn. Like, that's what I want to see, more so than another good turn. It's okay to keep them bad. It's okay. So let's hope that, because I will, you're going to hear me bitch about it if it turns out that, for sure, if A, that's Ezra under that mask, stupid decision. B, if they turn Ezra bad at all. And then C, if they turn the apprentice good. Those are the three ones that I'll be like, come on. Anyway, that's the episode here today, guys. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. If you're able to, once again, please consider one of the sponsors. Love all our sponsors. We hope that you guys do too. Hit that button. Subscribe to the channel today. Also go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are found. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm sorry it was up so late, but hope you have an episode to listen to this weekend. And I'll see you on Monday with Miri Jedikin. All right. Peace.